Hi, everyone. Welcome to Connecting and Stuff, a podcast where we take a topic from our corporate life and try to make it fun. Talking about fun, I know today I'm going to have a lot of fun discussing this topic. And you have read the title, so you know what we are going to talk about. But before that, I'll also like to talk about our guest. He's the perfect person to discuss this topic because he has also posted a lot about similarities between your career, your job, and your relationships. And I reached out to him on LinkedIn, and that is how we connected and decided to do a podcast about this particular topic. So, our guest today is Rajat Taneja. This is what mentioned on his LinkedIn, so I'll just quote it. He has 8 years of experience in switching jobs. So, before we move ahead, Rajat, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe I missed something in your introduction.
No, that was a nice, quick intro. Thanks a lot, Rashmita. And thanks for having me here. And just a disclaimer for everyone, this is going to be not an informational podcast, perhaps at all. This is going to be mostly interesting conversations. Fun, I'm not sure. You can decide for yourself. But yes,
Yeah, a fun
yeah.
one. But Rajat, before we start, I would like to understand your process. So you put a lot of interesting, fun, light-hearted stuff on LinkedIn versus other people like me who are more into educational and knowledge sharing and so on. So why is that? Why do you post such things on LinkedIn versus which is not a usual platform to share jokes? Maybe.
Yeah. So I actually used to use Instagram as a joke testing platform. And then I used to get political sometimes about it and lost my account. So I switched to LinkedIn because of that. But I wanted to be apolitical on LinkedIn because you can get another Instagram account, but not another career for yourself usually. So I started doing joke testing on LinkedIn and I started making it a bit formal, but still because of the all the memes I had made during the pandemic, the voice I had discovered, it kind of felt right to just not be very formal. And I've also seen your posts and some other people posting fun stuff on LinkedIn now. I think overall the platform is changing to a less formal platform, and with the creator push by LinkedIn themselves, they're trying to make people post stuff that's more authentic to themselves, which brings out the fun automatically. So I'm just a bit more shameless than others, if that's the answer in short.
Which is a good thing. And yes, I have also started noticing other people posting fun stuff on LinkedIn. But do you get any hate comment? Because I don't think people really appreciate jokes, especially people who are not millennials or Gen Z. I
Yeah.
don't want to call them old, uh, but I actually did. But I sort of understand that people do not like these kind of stuff on LinkedIn. So do you get any kind of hate comments or DMs probably?
Yeah, so I've reached a certain number of people now, so they know what I stand for, what they'll get if they follow the account. But initially, I used to get comments. I got one comment which said, "We already have a lot of shit stuff like this on Instagram and Facebook. We don't need another platform to be spoiled by by you people. I'm unfollowing you." So that was the LinkedIn comment I got, and I was being slightly passive aggressive about it, but I just posted in my own ways very politely that, okay, first name. I really respect people who announce before unfollowing people. And then,
Yeah, that is
uh,
very weird actually. You
yeah,
can
so
just
I
unfollow. You don't need to.
kind of called it out. And I think the comment got more likes than the post itself. So I thought, okay, I need to up my game in content, but comments are fine. So I've gotten such comments, but otherwise it's been fairly received well, mostly. Sometimes I used to troll some motivational speakers, and their fans used to tell me that, okay, what problem do you have? Is it personal? And it wasn't personal; it was just fun. But eventually, I got bored of it and started doing original stuff, non-trolling stuff on LinkedIn, and I think it works better for everyone because people relate more to stuff that's about them rather than bashing a motivational speaker or a famous person.
Right. Trolling is risky.
Yeah, in today's world, it's even more risky. And even now that when I go for open mics, sometimes trolling seems like heckling. So in open mics, you're
Hmm.
not tolerant to heckling. But when you do that yourself online, it's kind of, you don't realize that until you stop. That it's a phase, I think, many people have.
Yeah. So, okay, let's start with the podcast, the actual conversation that we are supposed to have today.
Oh yes.
I like the excitement. Okay, so today we are going to compare our career, our jobs, with relationships. There is a lot of common ground that you can find when you start comparing these two, and I'll start with the first, example that I have in my head, which is honeymoon period, right? So when you start a relationship or when you start a job, you have a few months during the start where you appreciate everything. So let's start with the job example. So I'll give you an example. 3 or 4 years back, I switched job and I was working for this shit company. They had a really bad culture. There were no Saturday
Which
off.
company was it, Rashmita?
I'm not going to name them.
Oh damn.
Maybe they are not on my LinkedIn as well, which is a good thing.
Whoa. Okay.
So I was not getting Saturday off.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Hmm. But was it like you never knew this uh, until the first day that you'll not have Saturdays off?
no, so this was like really early in my career. So when you are that young, at least I was a stupid person who was not asking much from their companies.
Hmm.
So I was just accepting whatever I
Yeah,
was getting.
that's all of us at the starting, I think. 20,000, it's okay. 25,000, okay, okay. Yeah, I live in with my parents. I don't have much to spend. It's okay. That's not.
Yeah, I'll get to work, spend time here, and I'll get money.
Better than my 25 lakh MBA I was going for. That's a things,
Yeah.
pressures thing.
So I switched from this company. I joined this another place, and they were giving me Saturday off. So that was a win for me.
Hmm.
Then the lunch was also sponsored by the company, and dinner if you are staying late.
Hmm. Hmm.
There were flexible working hours, so everything was so good when it come to company culture,
Hmm.
and it was fun. So I was like, I'll give 100% or 200% if that is possible for this company, and I actually did that. So I overachieved my targets and everything. And after 1 year, after I got my appraisal, I was like, okay, this is what is expected from the company. This is the bare minimum they could do,
Hmm.
and this is fine. So after 1 year, I was like, I deserve it. Okay, I mean, as a human being, we are selfish. I understand. So after 1 year, I started less appreciating these things. So and the next company I started, I mean, after 1 year, you always interview with different companies. Okay, that's the
Hmm.
truth. So whenever I go for another company or interview with another company, these were my bare minimum filters when
Hmm.
it came to finding the right company. And the same is true with relationships. So you start with, texting. You start any relationship you start, you text a lot, right?
Yeah.
And after 1 year or 2 year, these texting become really annoying. If you have something important to discuss, call me. Please don't text me. I'm not going to reply to. At least this is me. As a person, as a human being, this is me. I don't like texting at all. If something is really, because after 1 year, I believe you know everything about this person, right? So what else do you have to discover now? So you have nothing else to discover. You're just living together, spending weekends together, I guess. I am making relationship sounds really bad. Oh my god, I just realized.
No, no, actually, it makes sense. The first two jobs you had, the feeling I got was first job was not even weekends off properly, and the second job was like okay, freelance, free dinner. It almost felt
Mhm.
like you were dating a North Delhi guy and then you switched to a South Delhi guy. Felt like that somehow.
Yeah, and then South Delhi guy was not enough.
Hmm, they're never enough. Guys are never enough in
Yeah,
general. I think that's what I
and
used.
companies are never enough.
Yeah, ultimately,
even if you get even
yeah.
if you get the appraisal that you asked for, the
Hmm.
percentage, you'll be like, okay, I could have pushed for 5 more percent, I guess.
Yeah, but I think that's also a reason why many people are voluntarily single or entrepreneurs now because there's just less nonsense in your life if you're able to pull that off. Perhaps.
But
And
is it true?
for some people, it is like,
So if you are single, that doesn't mean your life is, it has no nonsense, because even if you are single, it doesn't mean you are not seeing anyone, right?
yeah, true, true. But what I was suggesting was more on the lines of generalizing stuff that everyone should get married, everyone should be in a relationship, have a soulmate, and
Mm.
everyone should have a job. on those lines. There are some exceptions, and people have, I think, started accepting that a lot more, or at least I have people around me who are doing that. There are a lot of friends I have, especially female friends in Delhi, who are trying to find a life partner on a deadline. But till that time, they're also a bit relaxed that, okay, I can date someone on the side, or I can just do this a bit more patiently, because the
Hmm.
deadline of the age of 30 is, I think, not that valid anymore. And in Mumbai, people are even getting happily married at 35, 37. So I see that shift, at least in my network. So, for example, soulmate, the concept of soulmates, one partner forever, that used to be
Hmm.
valid for our grandparents in terms of even jobs. They used to stick to a job forever. It was like a soulmate job. And then came a time when our parents realized, okay, we can switch jobs and
Hmm.
still have a soulmate in the form of a partner in personal life. So grandparents had a soulmate in both professional life, personal life. Parents had a soulmate in their personal life, maybe not professional life, started changing jobs. Now there's a time when we don't want a soulmate. At least we accept that we might not get a soulmate that easily in both professional jobs and personal jobs. Professionally, so no one's in a job forever nowadays.
Hmm.
Even personally, I think people don't mind getting remarried or taking a divorce if it's not working out, and not just the hardcore hatred-filled divorces. Just in general, I've seen some peaceful fallouts also of relationships and marriages. So I think that's a good start for people choosing themselves over a setup or an institution that was created many decades ago. And I also feel I read this a couple of times. I might sound like a Osho cult person, but I read it that people used to live in communes. They used to have babies in communities, and you never really
Hmm.
knew which baby was yours, because they used to also share land as a community. And there came a point when privatization of land started happening. So you needed a successor for your private land. For that, you needed a, a dedicated life partner. For that, you needed marriage. This is one way in
Hmm.
which marriage came into being. The other way was obviously religion, because if you marry in the same religion, if you keep having more families, then your religion also grows. So it's
Yeah.
strategic also in terms of that. So marriage has been created, but I've realized that monogamy is still very recent in terms of
Hmm.
humanity, and people used to
Yeah.
be uh, more open towards the idea of multiple partners, even if you have different needs from different people. Some are just
Hmm.
emotional, some are physical, some are uh, whatever the other adjectives are. But I think, for example, not I'm not talking about the kings who used to have a lot
Hmm.
of wives and a lot of other female companions, but just in general, people were not really monogamy only even a few
Hmm.
centuries ago. So that's been modern society in general. But I think now with the concepts of polyamory and open relationships, it's becoming different. I frankly don't really associate or even try to understand these things. I think these are, I might get hate for this, but I think these
Hmm.
are mostly extensions of singlehood. For me, the definition of the relationship is still uh, exclusivity between two people. Otherwise, it's just another form of singlehood. Everything else is singlehood according to me. But
Hmm.
maybe I've not taken the time to understand what polyamory and open relationships are about. But yeah, it's like you want emotional support from your boyfriend or girlfriend at the end of the day, but you also want variety in terms of other things in life. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on people actually. If you sort of committed that, I will only be with you as a partner, then you should own your words, right? But nowadays, you see a lot of people have open relationships, open marriages. So if you are in that kind of setup, and maybe you married someone and after 5 years you realize this is boring, we should spice things up, and you mutually decided that we want to add more people to our marriage, right? So you can do that, and people are doing it actually, which is, I guess, fun for them. Not just relationships, but also in your corporate life, you cannot sustain just by having one job. This is what I believe. You need to diversify your income these days. So you are doing, at least I personally freelance on the side. I mean, not talking about investment, but when it comes to making active incomes apart from job, freelancing is a good way to make money. So again, I am married to a company, but I'm also working with these other companies and helping them. And So I have seen a lot of people picking partners from a same friend group,
Hmm.
right?
That's like
So,
competitors, exactly. Yeah, in a
yeah,
way.
that's like competitors.
Hmm.
But some people are chill with it, others are not. So it also sort of depends. I mean, I personally think we should start taking our relationships like job, like our career, because nowadays people are really serious about their career, their job, and they are not serious about their relationship. They're like, okay, this is something happening on the side, I really need to focus on my work, and
Hmm.
everything else comes second. So this is an attitude that I've seen with a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that's also a lot of people in our network, because I've also seen some people who take their relationships very seriously still, or their
Hmm.
marriage seriously, and keep the job on the side as a way to earn money. But I think the relationships, like you were saying, if you date someone in the same group, in a friends group, it's difficult to have a non-compete clause. It's easier in in with competitors. So that's the advantage or disadvantage there. And also, I think coming back to the topic, yeah, why jobs are like relationships. I also feel that sometimes it's like not just a relationship but an arranged marriage. For example,
Hmm.
you contacting the HR instead of your boss or your team is like you contacting the parents of your potential partner.
Yeah.
It's all, oh, we have the best husband for you, and it's just like we have the best culture for you. And then you're looking for example, in interviews, you're looking for financial growth, but you say, I'm looking for career growth. That goes for arranged marriage also.
Hmm.
You're actually looking for perhaps companionship, but you say stability.
Yeah, this is what we do in relationship as well, right? So during first few months we only share things that are good about us with our partner, and we try to learn from their behavior what are the things that they would appreciate. For example, I go to the gym, right? If I am talking to this guy and he's also
Hmm.
interested in fitness, so I'll majorly talk about gym, right? Because this is a common ground for us. But I will not talk about my bad eating habits. And 1 year down the line, this guy, he
Hmm.
realizes, okay, this is a person who loves eating fries a lot. So that can become a
Hmm.
problem. So during the first few days, you only focus on the good thing about you in a relationship. And when it comes to, I mean, the company usually asks this
Hmm.
question, what are your weaknesses? And we have our answer ready, which is basically a strength. And we make we twist it in a way that, it is a weakness of mine, which is actually a strength. So I'm a really hardworking person. I end up spending 12 hours a day, which is not really good personal and professional life balance. Even when you are sharing your weakness, it sounds like a strength for the company, and which is again the same in relationship. You only share good things.
Hmm. Yeah. And also that brings me to a good point. Uh, I think this Trevor Noah mentioned in an interview that
Mm.
relationships at the end of the day, most of them are still about cohabitation. So once you start living with the person, you realize the real them, and
Yeah.
all the perceptions vanish. And he was suggesting that we should perhaps have some people can also try out relationships in a way that you don't have to stay with the person all the time.
Mm.
You can still be dating in a way that you're having your own separate houses. You can chill at each other's place and not really move in together, because that can also complicate a lot of stuff in a relationship. And also,
Mm.
he was asked basically, do you mind marriage? So he said, I don't mind marriage. I don't mind relationships. I just mind the cohabitation. And I
Mm.
somehow connected with that a lot, although I've not moved in with my girlfriend ever in life. But I just felt that whatever he says makes sense in terms of people nowadays try to spice up their marriages and try
Mm.
to do everything to just stay together. But sometimes a lot of distance also can be trouble. Yesterday, Rahul Subramaniam posted on Instagram. I don't know about other platforms, but he said most breakups happen because of long distance, and most divorces happen because of no distance. So
Yeah.
that was
Good one.
quite quite relatable without me being married, but I understood what he was saying somehow. That cohabitation, I think he was targeting that aspect definitely. And also, some men who are not meant for marriage, when you get them married as part
Mm.
of society or just under parental pressure, when you do that, you end up not just ruining his life but also three other lives.
Yeah.
If assuming he has a partner and two children. So then all those domestic violence and stuff
Mm.
is happening because they're not just educated enough and also have access to alcohol. And cohabitation also increases the chances of domestic violence, because if you stay separately, then you can at least cool it down, or I think sort things out in a simpler way. Because once you're stuck with a person in the same un, among the same four walls, it can get really tricky.
Yeah.
I think solves a lot of things, especially in different socioeconomic backgrounds. So cohabitation, I think for me personally, is the deal breaker when it comes to even thinking of relationships.
This is the end of the first part. If you're enjoying this, continue listening to the conversation in the next episode. See you there.